What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Off the Mic Sports Network. Gonna have some more reaction. I put up a video at halftime of the game. Full disclosure, there was some new information that came out in regards and some new footage that emerged in the whole Jalen Carter spitting incident. And we're gonna dive into the complicated nature of what happened. And maybe kind of pose some stuff to you guys here, and you guys can comment on it at your own leisure. But I want to start specifically talking about this game. The Eagles win 24-20 in the season opener. It was 21-20 at half. Jake Elliott kicks a field goal to put them up 24-20 in the third quarter. And from then on, basically what happened was, we get in the second quarter. So in the third quarter, Jake Elliott kicks a field goal with 8:30 to go. That was the last points of this game. It was a 58-yard field goal. That's the last points of this game. The Cowboys had a big run for Miles Sanders and fumbled the ball. I don't know if it was in the red zone, but it was in scoring range, relative scoring range. The Cowboys missed a golden opportunity to maybe change the narrative of their whole season, because it was not good in the last week. There was not a lot of good publicity around this team. Micah Parsons is now in Green Bay. Their defense for the first half did not really do a good job of stopping the run. They couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. They couldn't stop Jalen Hurts. But then in the second half, they only gave up 3 points, and Dak Prescott did a good job of moving the ball. I mean, he threw for under 200 yards, but he made some good throws. The problem was, specifically in the fourth quarter, CeeDee Lamb at least 3 times had a chance to make what should have been, I'm not going to say a routine catch, but if you're an NFL player and you're as highly paid as CeeDee Lamb is, you've got to make those catches. And ultimately, he did not. There was a play on fourth down where Dak Prescott's getting blitzed. He does the best he could. It was a diving catch, but CeeDee Lamb should have caught it. And ultimately, the Cowboys don't get a chance. The fumble by Miles Sanders also looms large in this game. And a game that started with Jalen Carter getting thrown out of this game, and we'll dive into the complicated nature of that story in a little bit here on the channel. But the Philadelphia Eagles got some breaks, and their offensive line got a little dinged up, but they asserted their dominance. And then the big play of the game, Matt Eberflus, the new defensive coordinator, the former head coach of the Bears, did not have a spy on Jalen Hurts, despite them being in spread on 3rd and 3 with the game on the line. These are the little things that separates Super Bowl champions and playoff teams, despite how I feel about how this team, and there was nonsense that started this game. The Cowboys had every opportunity to win this game and change the narrative of how people feel about them. Because like I said, all the nonsense with Jerry Jones, all the stuff with, all the stuff with Micah Parsons and, new head coach, how that sorted out. Brian Schottenheimer, I got to give the man some props, man. I know, yes, there were some breaks that, best defensive player for the Eagles doesn't play a snap, but still, for a first-time head coach who had been a long-time coordinator and it seemed like a joke of a hire, guy did pretty well. Didn't seem rattled. He had the good demeanor, and, from being on the sideline, the guy did not look like, he was scared. Like, I give him credit, man. And, Dak Prescott, we'll talk about the whole situation in another video, but he played like a professional quarterback. Like, the guy made plays, and, Javonte Williams gave him some juice. Like, the running back situation's a little bit screwed up. He scored a couple of touchdowns, but yeah, Miles Sanders, the big fumble, that was really ultimately, and then, hey, the Eagles really didn't do anything in the second half outside of that field goal. Jalen Hurts, he has the 2 rushing touchdowns, but, outside of that, he only threw for 152 yards. And, Jahan Dotson was their leading receiver. A.J. Brown didn't even get any, I'm going to look at these stats here in a second. Stand by here, because I'm doing this in real time. A.J. Brown had 1 target in this game, and it was in the fourth quarter, and he caught the ball, and this was right before the fateful QB draw effectively. I don't think it was called the QB draw, but basically it almost seemed like one. And the fans in Philadelphia were just sheepishly cheering because of how comically ridiculous it is that AJ Brown could have 0 targets in the game up until the very last 2 minutes of this game. And yet the Cowboys didn't win. They had a lot of things going for them. They were an over a touchdown underdog. I thought that they were going to get destroyed. And then obviously, the post opening kickoff thing happened, and it sort of changed the tenor of this game. And it seemed like this was going to be heading for the over, and yet for some reason, like this ends at 44, and I can't even remember what the actual over under on this was. Let me like I said, I'm doing this in real time here. So the over under on this game, stand by everybody. Yeah, I don't have the over under in front of me, but the point is it did not hit. And so yeah, over under actually was 58.5. So yeah, and it seemed like it was way under. And if you would have told me, hey, 21-20 at the half, that this game was going to finish under, man, the over bettors really felt good. But that's a Vegas conversation. But for the Eagles, nothing really too terribly surprising outside of the obvious situation with Jalen Carter, and we need to have a totally separate conversation about that because there's a lot that went into that, a lot more than what I talked about when I initially posted that here on the channel. So for Philly, they're going to be fine. Philly's going to be fine. Like, they're the Super Bowl champs. They get Kansas City. Coming up here. I'm pulling up the schedule here. They get Kansas City next week, so they get an extra 3 days up on Kansas City. Well, Kansas City's playing tomorrow, and that'll be the rematch of the Super Bowl. And we'll see how things go. But I mean, I do have some concerns about their offense because they didn't really open it up for Jalen Hurts. It was really about Jalen Hurts using his legs. Saquon Barkley made some spectacular plays, but when Jahan Dotson is your leading receiver, that's a problem. It's a problem. It's not like anything that really. It's just Jalen Hurts when it comes to it, and you have to make him quarterback. It's like he's very limited, and he can be a winner, but like I said, the two rushing touchdowns really are all of what he did. He threw for like 150 yards in this game. So, just a missed opportunity for the Cowboys. That being said, there was some positives that I can take away from this because the Cowboys, in a really tough spot, given losing like one of their leaders of this team a week ago in a trade after, that whole dispute, to be in the position that they were to potentially drive down and potentially win the game, that's something that you can tip your hat to. But like I said, given all the advantages and all the opportunities that they were given in this game, huge missed opportunity. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But I will give props to Brian Schottenheimer. I thought that he might have been a little bit over his head coming into this thing, but he looked like, hey, he's a Schottenheimer. His dad coached in the NFL for a really long time. Yeah, so that's really how I felt about this game. Again, we'll have a more, it's kind of a nuanced situation with Jalen Carter. Like we'll have to figure out, like maybe it's not even that nuanced, because Jason Garrett seems to have some information about what happened. Are we supposed to believe that? Who knows? But we'll talk about that here on the channel. Thanks to everybody who subscribes here. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.